So I had finished a song a while back, like a few weeks ago, I think. And I remember listening to it as I was walking into work and just being like, hell yeah, this is awesome. And not even sure if it needed another minute of work. But then, of course, sometime over the last 3 weeks, probably 3 weeks, you start to think like, oh, maybe it could be this, or maybe it could be that. And I guess I must have listened to it recently, and I was like, it doesn't have enough yet. So I went and added like a bunch more kind of sounds and whatnot to a little chunk of it. And then I listened to it this morning in the car, and it's like I can't tell if the stuff I added to it makes it any better or not, or if it just makes it different. And maybe if I listen to it for like 3 more weeks, I'll grow so used to and accustomed to those new pieces that I added that it'll be obvious that they're supposed to be there. But then the new danger is once I get used to them, that I'll be like, oh, I need to add more to this. It's not loud enough, or it's not crazy enough, or whatever it is. And it reminds me of this thing that I just saw happen with a student recently, where they had done like 47 additional studies or something like that for a kind of image they had made. And I think what bugged me about it was I wasn't sure if they were making more images because they just felt like making more, or if they were doing it because they felt like the thing they had done wasn't enough. And this is one of these like dangers I think is real common. And I know I've tried really hard to kind of train myself out of this, but the reason to change work is because you hear it or look at it or read it and you know it's just not right yet, like something is off. But the reason not to change it, or the worst reason to change it, is because you're projecting some sense of inadequacy onto it. And time will do this. So that song 3 weeks ago was incredible. And 3 weeks later, it's not enough. What's the only difference between now and then? Time set in to create a sense of doubt and inadequacy about it. It's funny because I talk a lot about the scene in Gerhard Richter painting where he's finished these 2 paintings. He takes them to his special gallery spot where they live for a few weeks so he can decide if they're good. And then if they're not good, they come back to the studio. So these paintings, they go up there, they come back to the studio, and he paints one of them white. And who knows, maybe he continues to paint it after that. But I was talking about it with some students, and I was like, there's sort of 2 angles there. The one is the really awesome thing that Gerhard Richter knows his process so well that he knows that he needs time to take a break and ascertain whether the work is good. But on the other hand, he also needs to see a therapist and stop assuming that just because it's been 3 weeks, he's got to work on the thing more. It was done at that other point, and presumably when he works on it again, it's done. Unless he lets it sit around for 3 weeks or 3 months, and then that insecurity pours back into it, and then it's got to be reworked again. So like the changes I made, I just am not sure they made anything better. I think they just made it different. I think if anything, they reflect that as a human being, you're in a constant state of flux, right? So the thing you make today and how you feel about it today is necessarily going to be different the next time you see it, hear it, read it, because you are different. Your mood is different, your emotions are different. You may have just watched a movie that made you think about the world differently. Maybe you're sick. And it seems counterproductive, but learning not to change things just for the sake of changing them, learning to kind of go, yeah, you know what? of course I feel differently about the painting right now. I'm a different person than I was the last time I looked at it, even if the last time was yesterday. I was just thinking about this again because, like, I wrote some stuff a while back. I listened some music. I listened to it in the car the next morning. I burst out laughing. It was terrible. And then I listened to it again this morning, and I was like, oh, this is totally workable. So like 3 separate times I listened to the exact same music, and 3 totally different reactions. Once was me trying to make something good. Once was me as the critic, burst out laughing. And then once was me going, I wonder what this is that thing I burst out laughing at. And you're like, oh, it's fine. That chances are, in the moment of creating the thing, I knew exactly what I was doing. And I can trust my aesthetic sensibilities. In worst case scenario, even if I can't, who cares? Like, 3 weeks later, the thing that was funny is now awesome again, and the thing that was perfect is now weird, and all this shit is constantly changing. And maybe the real point is to cool out, because chances are how we define done is way more related to whatever external deadline than whether we've actually finished the thing. So watch for that feeling of hey, this thing was good, now it's not. You know, I used to be addicted to Aesop Rock's Fast Cars, Danger, Fire and Knives EP. I listened to it so much. I listened to it so much that I cannot stomach it now. It doesn't make it bad. It's still fundamentally the exact same thing. It's just that I changed. I gotta remember to apply that. Like, I don't want Aesop Rock to be like, oh my god, that dude doesn't like that anymore, I better go rework it. Nah, it did what it needs to do. He made the right thing. Chances are I made the right thing 3 weeks ago, and it's just insecurity or projection that's changing it. All right, thanks for watching.